Alrighty, let's just go ahead and get started then. I thank everyone and good afternoon. Welcome to our follow-up webinar to WMCA. This is a webinar specifically for our WMCA community coming out of our favorite conference every year, the Wisconsin Municipal Clerks Association. I boast the honor of one time being inducted as an honorary municipal clerk back in the days of Gina Gresh. That was a particular honor for me. I am your host, Morgan Wheeler, the Director of Sales at Cities Digital. And today I'm going to be running through a quick presentation on using workflow and forms and more of the tools within the Laserfiche suite to get more out of your systems with the goal of demonstrating a clear ROI. Now, please feel free to type any questions that you may have into the questions dialog box here in the GoToWebinar feature, and I will be sure to answer them here at the end of the presentation. Just as a reminder, Cities Digital is the largest Laserfiche reseller in the world now, with 3 separate support, project management, and development teams dedicated to make sure we have a raving fan base. We hope you will join us someday, or of course stay with us if you are already one of our treasured client family members. Now, Laserfiche. Laserfiche itself positions very neatly and nicely within your existing infrastructure, serving as a centralized storage location for securing and sharing files with people, processes, outside agencies, and the public, as well as other applications within the city. Now, the Laserfiche system serves as a central repository for our information, from where workflow, auditing, integrating, distributing, and many other often time-consuming tasks can be automated. Now, this is that final step that we've found that a lot of cities and counties and special districts have found the trouble in making that leap from digital document file cabineting, and that's what Cities Digital is here for, to help our clients take that next leap into automation. Now, documents themselves contain valuable information, and the information within those documents is often trapped, inefficient, insecure, and losable on regular Windows network folders. Now, the easy-to-use folder structure and Windows-like feel of Laserfiche is designed to replace that expectation of how files should look and act with something that is very similar in appearance, but delivers the high-level control and automation that our local government agencies need these days. Now, the goal here is ultimately to turn documents into resources that are as efficient as pure data, creating content, document, and information management machines. Our strategy banks on your existing storage habits, however. That's the great thing about Laserfiche, is what you're doing already now can be taken a few steps further. Your existing storage habits, your existing processes, and enable your existing staff to simply do more with their time than file, collate, email, rescan, and search laboriously for this information. Now, each department, even each person, can have their own unique blend of shared and secret in Laserfiche. Now, a great example of this is HR. HR might have all employees folders in Laserfiche and not want a single thing shared or even visible to other departments. Just fine. Whereas the city clerk might want all final filings of agendas, ordinances, minutes, and resolutions automatically available to city staff and likely the public. Now, each of those unique file sharing and security needs can be accommodated with basic Laserfiche security policies. Almost as if just buying a department a couple of additional users gets them their own document management system that's already set up, already automated, already secured, and designed to accommodate the city's important guidelines while also providing them a very convenient place to put, store, and find things. Now, what is automation in Laserfiche? So the latest in automation beyond just scanning, storing, and searching. I know that everyone on the line does that and is probably more of an expert in it than I am. And I've been working with the Laserfiche product now for about 7-8 years. And there's nobody in the world who knows scan, store, and retrieve better than city clerks and their finance directors and their IT managers that support them. But our goal as a valuable solutions consultant and provider of services beyond just the basics is to help you take that and the next step further. And the neat thing about all this is that what you're already doing in Laserfiche with minimal adjustment can be used to drive quite a bit of integration and automation. Beyond just scanning, storing, and searching in Laserfiche, workflow routing of documents will automatically route those into the right folder, through the right process, and to the right person. Automated filing and naming throughout that workflow will allow us to have a standardized naming convention for all documents, and simply eliminate naming things ever again. Standardized documents don't need to be named in Laserfiche, period. They can pull all that information right out of the Laserfiche template and auto-name themselves. Integrations with other applications, seamlessly pushing and pulling information to synchronize, complete, and update all data. You have a Laserfiche system, or likely maybe will someday, if we're so lucky as to entice you to pursue that path in your technology strategy. But you'll also have an accounting application, GIS, a number of other applications. That's all information that Laserfiche can use to automatically get the name of a vendor, for instance. If it exists electronically, Laserfiche can go out and find it and push data to those other electronic applications. Electronic forms, moving the paper capture game, which we're all in some degree playing, whether we like it or not. Moving that paper capture strategy to the world of purely digital document life cycles, going truly paperless. That was what the goal was when we initially went with Laserfiche, but imagine that we still have paper around. Well, electronic forms represent the movement of an organization, of a city, of a county, to documents that from their inception through their destruction have always been and will always be electronic and may have never been printed. That is capable in Laserfiche very easily. Automated email notifications, allowing emails to be automatically sent by or archived into Laserfiche. Mobile devices for citizen use, as well as utility workers, police, and all employees in the field. We have deployed Laserfiche to deliver information about gun ownership and domestic violence to squad cars as they're pulling up to an address via Laserfiche, so that those officers are more adequately protected using the documentation that came out of the court system and the criminal history that we have available. That information doesn't need to be tracked, it doesn't need to be trapped just within those documents. It can be available to those fine policemen as they roll up to a possibly dangerous situation. Laserfiche can automate that from document to squad car. And of course, automated records management that will apply agreed upon cutoff, retention, disposition schedules to documents just by placing them in the right folder or having workflow do it for you automatically. Those are the things that we're trying to push our city and local government and county clients to take that next step with Laserfiche. And you won't lose anything when you do it. You keep all of the same basic document management features. Things just start to happen a little bit faster and a little bit easier. Now let's take a look at the 10 most useful automation tools in use today by local government. That's what I hope to provide as the single most valuable takeaway from this particular presentation. I hope of these 10 you might jot down a couple, maybe 3 that Cities Digital and our consulting team can follow up with you about. That's the goal always of our attendance at WMCA and these follow-up webinars and our follow-up contact efforts is, hey, did you see anything at the show? Did you see anything in our follow-up materials that can help us this year make Laserfiche a little more valuable and a little more effective for you? That's our role and our responsibility as what we like to call ourselves, solutions consultants. So we'll run through these here now. Let's start first at statement and invoice auto-filing. So what you have here is an extract from one of my city's Laserfiche workflow designer. Looks like Microsoft Visio, a little flowchart here. It's very easy to design Laserfiche workflows, and workflow is now free in Laserfiche Avante. All new Laserfiche systems have Avante for free. So a couple of my choice Wisconsin cities that have had Laserfiche for a long time, and I know you're on the line, that still might have that legacy licensing model. a simple upgrade off of that legacy platform to Laserfiche Avante or Rio gets you this, which most cities now have the second they even buy a dollar worth of Laserfiche. So workflow allows you to easily route, name, file, and notify invoices and statements, as well as their extracted values to their correct folder, or update other applications with that extracted information as well. We are now untrapping the information out of documents and turning their efficiency into something comparable as data. Here we have an example of a small Laserfiche workflow that routes invoices and statements into their correct folders in Laserfiche, acquires departmental level approval dependent upon amount of this particular invoice, verifies the amount with an outside database, Springbrook, New World, one of the many accounting applications out there, or pushes that information into something like Springbrook or New World for processing within that application, and then presents that final information and series of steps to the finance director. The accounts payable process lends itself quite well to the Laserfiche workflow tool, which is of course now included in all Laserfiche Avante systems. Another quick and easy way to drive value out of your Laserfiche implementation and really impress people as well is emails. Emails can be automatically and dynamically sent via Laserfiche workflow, as well as automatically or as needed archived into Laserfiche, with or without the attachment, with the attachment inline and the attachment filed separately, or maybe just the attachment. All of those are automatically available to you. So imagine we receive an email into information request at ourcity.gov, or perhaps a new request from a filled out online Laserfiche form. That form is automatically sent to the right department through automatic identification of the document type that was on the form itself, and an email is sent to the requester with a copy of their filled-in form telling them to expect a reply within 48 hours and the right person's email address to contact if they have not heard by then. We've just achieved automated capture of the correct information, routed it to the right person, informed the requesting member of the public of the status, and automatically sent them a customized email with what to accept next or expect next. A lot of time there when processing such requests manually. No longer with Laserfiche. What we see here is an example of an email with what are called token values. And these values here after the percent signs are simply placeholders that are awaiting the value of the person's name, their email address, document type, so the standard email can be distributed based on information that itself varies. The person's name, the document type, dates, etc. Those things all change. But the hello, thank you for sending this information, this request to our city, that's always the same. And that those little pieces of information can be automatically plugged in via Laserfiche workflow and that email automatically sent. Now similarly, managers and supervisors can simply reply to employee or public form submission with a simple email reply. I'll underline reply to an employee or public form submission. For instance, say an employee fills out an internal request for time off. Well, that form output and or their PDF as well can be emailed automatically to the supervisor after having determined that sufficient PTO is available for approval. That manager would simply hit reply in Microsoft Outlook and reply with the word approved in the body of the email. That Laserfiche Forms has just as many internal uses as it does external. And a lot of our cities, despite the obvious need to facilitate electronic form capture from the public, I have found that a lot of my city clients have found more of a return and an immediate need on internal things, largely related to HR and employee matters that are just as, if not more important than allowing input from the public, because as we know, employment is a situation that can sometimes have a few rules and options for error and litigation, unfortunately. And Laserfiche Forms is just adept at a tool as creating internal employee time off, clock in, clock out forms, all sorts of internal forms that would never be designed for the public. Now, the Another example of Laserfiche workflow delivering more value out of the basic implementation that serves digital filing cabinet needs only is using a simple escalation branch attached to documents you've filed in your system. Escalation and deadline activities are another powerful tool that help us route information and documents to other people in the event of too much delay. Now, this helps keep workflows running and efficiency very high when people might be out of the office or just a little behind. It takes my developers about 45 seconds to add an escalation branch to an existing workflow, or maybe a couple of hours to build out a new submission workflow that incorporates escalation. This allows us to make sure that workflow isn't just routing things to empty buckets, that it's actually checking the activity on those documents with some regularity. Now, auto redaction is another very popular one for internal documents and also within the HR context. We often also run into this problem of employment information, say on an application, being needed by a manager, but that manager is not allowed to see certain information like a social security number on the document itself. So usually the HR director has to be the medium there. Now, Laserfiche security is not just limited to folders and files. Workflow can search all documents looking for simple or certain strings of text. I take simple back, very complex strings of text if necessary. What's a string of text? Something like 3 numbers dash 2 numbers dash 4 numbers? A social security number perhaps? It's just numbers, a dash, 2 more numbers, a dash, 4 more numbers. If we find that, extract it, and then that matches the pattern of a social security number. So we'll have workflow automatically put a black redaction over that particular information so that anyone other than the HR director who's looking at an employment application might see some information but have the really sensitive information automatically redacted. What do we do there? We simultaneously serve the need to share some information and absolutely without exception conceal other pieces of information. Now, Zone OCR is a component of the Laserfiche Quick Fields add-on that is often probably my single most popular tool used to process paper documents and convert their information into usable electronic data, as well as store the pretty image into Laserfiche as well. Now, Zone OCR is a component, like I mentioned, of the Laserfiche Quick Fields batch scanning add-on to Laserfiche. It's an add-on to all Laserfiche systems. And we'll look to a certain region of a page for information and extract that information and then verify what has been extracted to see if it's correct. So here we have a document type, invoice. We have a document number, invoice number, and we have a date, all being pulled from the top right corner of an invoice. Now, Zone OCR will extract all of this information and then parse it out into individual fields in Laserfiche. So once that information now has been verified, we know it's correct, we push it into the Laserfiche template fields. Well, template fields are what Laserfiche workflow uses to automatically process, name, route, file, and send out alerts or notifications on that particular document. So now we've extracted all the information off the document, pushed it into a Laserfiche template field where Laserfiche workflow takes care of everything else, the naming of the document, the filing of the document, processing it through certain people and processes, maybe pulling an small data value field out like an account number and cross-referencing that with your accounting system. That Zone OCR feature allows us to free that information off of physical pages as well as electronic ones, most of the use cases physical documents, and pull that into Laserfiche. Now, similar to Laserfiche's robust records management features, Citius Digital has perfected an ironclad approach to contract management with Laserfiche workflow. Now, initial sign or execution or receipt dates can be used to determine each and every other date needed in maintaining and reviewing this contract. Imagine we apply a contract template or just a date field, an existing template in Laserfiche. We indicate a term for that contract, if not already determined by the document type itself, and we save the file. We've added one small piece of information that was probably available in a drop-down menu. The rest of the dates were automatically calculated. And in 9 months, we are notified that this yearly contract is up for renewal in 3 months, then 2 months, and perhaps weekly in the final month, to constantly keep you abreast of contract timing. Now, I have a great example of Cities Digital being a real hero with this type of implementation. We just saved a Wisconsin city about $25,000 this exact way, by alerting them to an expiring modular building lease that was no longer needed but would have auto-renewed for 5 years with a new market rate removal fee of $5,000. So that the entire contract term would have renewed without negotiation, and a new market rate cost for removing that modular building would have doubled in case of what they had in their previous contract. Now, the alert allowed the city clerk and city manager to renegotiate that contract, maintain their current rate for 2 more years, as well as the existing removal fee of $2,500. All of this would have been missed had we not had a very efficient tool to review these contracts. One other neat thing, Workflow can push these dates onto an Outlook calendar as well. So if we get tired of emails and we get a few too many for our taste, we can always have a renewal date pushed to our calendar, or a 1 month before that renewal date pushed to our calendar, and alert us through Microsoft Outlook. A very helpful tool. Now, Laserfiche tags are also an easy way to peruse your Laserfiche system, looking for collections of files to return for eDiscovery responses or audits, or even just perhaps freedom of information requests. With a simple audit prep workflow already built by Cities Digital, you'll browse for or search for documents in Laserfiche, apply a quick tag, and then a folder will be automatically prepared for you with copies or shortcuts to all of the documents that you've tagged. And you can then give an auditor access to that folder if they're coming in, if it's an IRS audit, if they're coming into the city, and you can provide them access to just that folder in Laserfiche. They see everything they've requested, nothing more, nothing less. We see an example of that here on the right side of the page in front of us. Or we can move copies of documents to a folder in preparation for one cohesive export that we would then send to, maybe have our city attorney send to opposing counsel, or to the court, or any other agency that has made a formal request for information. Now, date calculations are simple math equations to the powerful Laserfiche workflow tool. So whether it's scheduling a review, retention period, expiration, follow-up, etc., time, deadline, a workflow can automatically determine and notify you about upcoming dates and deadlines for long since forgotten documents. So this is a best practice that we're implementing with most of our new document templates. We ask, is there anything that would happen subsequently in this document that's driven by dates that we know now? And if that's the case, just the storage of those documents and the application of the same amount of data can automatically inform workflow to calculate a number of other dates that we need to be able to, that we need to just know, or we need to be alerted about. And as we wrap up here, any electronic lists, any databases, any Excel spreadsheets, access tables, other applications, any electronic source for most extent that has a list of your vendors or your partners or GL codes or account numbers, etc., can be used to automatically update those template fields in Laserfiche. So a great example is using the account lists out of an accounting application like Springbrook or NeuWorld to generate the list of fields applicable to a document in Laserfiche. We would simply grab the client out of a drop-down list generated by the account list in Springbrook, grab that vendor's name, and now all the information is automatically filled in that we have available in Springbrook that we needed on this document in Laserfiche. All those template fields can have what are called dynamic sources. So if it exists electronically already, we can just tie that Laserfiche template field to that existing source, and whenever that existing set of options changes, you add a new vendor, for instance, you add a new document type, it's automatically updated in Laserfiche. A truly centralized integrated repository that plays well with your other applications. This keeps indexing and categorization options or template fields constantly and automatically up to date. And this is about, for instance, a list of vendors, or GL codes is another great example. I also wanted to mention a list of addresses for a particular street pulled straight out of your GIS application. Now, with all the data workflow can capture, of course, it can all be compiled and delivered in reports of any frequency. This can be anything from a basic list of items processed to an in-depth time report on bottlenecks. Now, digital signatures, finally here, are an approved technology for local government in Wisconsin. This means 3 real options for city government: signing in Laserfiche for internal processes and approval with a device at a staff person's desk, or perhaps on a particular table where they're scanning something. Laserfiche users themselves have their own digital signature tools within the Laserfiche application. But this also allows you to take the kiosk approach, where you turn that signature device around to guests of City Hall for signature at that kiosk or at that front desk location, signing for a building permit or whatnot. And then finally, at home or at their computer, on their iPad, their Android device, in the field with an, oops, forgive me, I need to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But anywhere else in the field with the other myriad of signature devices or other devices available over the web. And this is a viable one for communicating documents back and forth with court systems, for instance. All of those signature options would route right back into your Laserfiche workflows and your centralized Laserfiche repository. A couple of other notes here. All that information then feeds into the other integrated applications that you have. Just a few of our current city's digital Laserfiche integrations include Springbrook, New World, PermitWorks, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft Exchange, etc. And of course, just a little view of how those integrations are typically modeled. The New World integration offers the ability to access Laserfiche documents from New World, and users can view Laserfiche documents corresponding with a New World record, as well as scan and upload and synchronize any information that's scanned through New World right into Laserfiche, and vice versa. The same is for the Springbrook integration as well. Complete synchronization between the documents within your Laserfiche system and your account records in Springbrook, or, for instance, in GIS, the plots in your GIS application and the corresponding documents in Laserfiche. And what we hope here is that this has been a helpful demonstration of how Laserfiche and its core server application can serve as a centralized place to store, secure, and share things, to search, scan, and retrieve them, of course, all of those basic items, but most importantly also drive a return on your document management system investment by using the workflow tool to automate, integrate, and just frankly reduce your headaches. And at this point, I will take any particular questions that the audience might have, and I've got a few here. Let me read through them here in the questions dialog box. Feel free to enter in any additional ones. I have one here that asks for what's the cost of the forms module. The forms module itself, for internal use at least, is $50 per user. So if you have a 10-user Laserfiche system, internal forms would be about $500 plus annual maintenance, which for that would be about $100. So we're comparing $600 for forms for a 10-user system, an average size system for a Wisconsin city, compared to upwards of $30,000 for something like Adobe Lifecycle, the other contending forms tool out there. The next, thank you for that, Bonnie. The next question I have here is, you mentioned pushing an Outlook to an Outlook calendar. Will that work with an approved time off request, putting it on the supervisor's calendar? Yes, indeed. Laserfiche forms, so for instance, a time off request or even a full clock in, clock out solution via Laserfiche forms, which we have designed for many cities and private industry as well. That information would be collected and pushed into Laserfiche with all the correct metadata, template data. Once that information hits Laserfiche, Laserfiche workflow can do just about anything with it, including reading that metadata, the dates and whatnot, and then pushing that onto an Outlook calendar. Next question here is, the digital signature with DocuSign that was just mentioned the same as the digital signature license that Workflow uses? Probably not, but Workflow can use the digital signature tool as well. That one comes from Jeff. The DocuSign integration with Laserfiche is from Cities Digital and allows you to right-click on a document and send it right up into DocuSign for a person to then log into and sign. They would get an automatic notification that a document has been submitted, in your case right out of Laserfiche to DocuSign for signature. And that would be something that could be incorporated into a Laserfiche workflow just as easily as the regular Laserfiche digital signature feature that's built into the program, which is probably what you're referring to, Jeff, which is also just as amenable and usable as an approval tool in a local government context. And Patsy, somehow you managed to find your way into a local government presentation of a Laserfiche, but I will indeed send you these particular slides. We welcome all of our clients, even those from the financial services world, to our presentations. And that is where our particular set of questions seems to end. I have my contact information up on the screen, and I would be delighted to share this presentation with you. I have recorded it, and I will also share the slides with you. I'll package these up into an easily transmitted PDF and send those over to you here in about a day as I compile this video link and post it on GoToWebinar as well for your review. I am at your beck and call. Please consider me a resource to you at any point to go over these solutions and how they might play out for your particular organization. Our business continues and thrives based on mostly on our ability to continue to make Laserfiche a good investment for our clients. Most of our business comes from our existing clientele. So I thank you for your time, and if any of this has sparked a fancy, I want to talk to you about it. But until then, I bid you adieu and have a wonderful paperless day.